consciousness.
Good day, good love, good light, illuminators and way showers, physical and non-physical beings, star families, star seeds, ET contactees, and contactors. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Thank you so much for the standby as we work through our little delays here. We appreciate it. Thank you for joining us today. I am Wendy Wolfe with Languages of Lights. This is my fiance, Dave Yelen, and today we are very, very excited to share today with you our fellow star family member, Jonathan Trinity Martin. We're very excited today as I've been familiar as he brings all through his story, how he came to be, where he is today, and all of the things that he is helping with all of us today. He does channeling classes, sessions, he's ET contactee, as well as sharing how to help all of you connect with your ET friends, your ET guides, your star families. And we're excited to ask him some questions today about himself and his ET friends, and whoever wants to show up today, the Yahyel, of which I am also very familiar. I have been familiar with Jonathan's work actually since he started channeling. And if you're familiar, if you're new to my channel, I've been on YouTube now for a little over 7 years, sharing my excitement about all things related to following my highest joy and excitement, and to explore my own ET connections, my star families, as well as, of course, the fun now that I have expressing myself in light languages. So, but today we're really going to be focusing on our ET contact. How do we what does it mean? What happens when we start getting these downloads? How do we connect, and what happens when we do connect, and what does it mean to us globally? So all of these things we're excited to share with you, and we'll also be broadcasting, or excuse me, not broadcasting, we'll be uploading this video to our sister channel, Open Contact TV, which Dave and I have recently getting going. And so there's going to be more, we invite more and more people who, including any of you who would like to be guests on that YouTube channel as well, sharing. It's really going to be related to more ET contact and first contact, and of course open contact, and the protocols, and what does all that mean? How did I get and we get where we are today? And so we'll be sharing more and more of that type of related content, more of the extraterrestrial variety. And so we're inviting all of you to, and that includes sharing your stories about perhaps interactions you've had, dreams you've had, manifestations you've had, physical contact, dream contact, as well as just seeing UFO sightings. Perhaps you are interested in learning more about connecting with your hybrid children. We can perhaps Jonathan and the Yahyel might talk a little bit today about the hybrid children as well. So that's something that's dear to my heart, as well as as being a hybrid mother. And I'm pretty sure we both have hybrid children between us as well. So really, without further ado, I guess we'll and now I want to thank you too that something wonky was happening to the live chat questions. They were sort of disappearing. So we did take note of the questions that were in the live chat prior to starting the webinar today. And so if you'd like to leave a question for Jonathan and or his ET friends in the live chat here on YouTube, Dave will be monitoring that to ask those questions. And then we'll also be asking the questions that were posted in the post prior. So was there anything else that you wanted to share, or did I leave out, or before we?
No, welcome, Jonathan.
Hello, Jonathan. We're gonna.
Hi.
There you go. Hi, how are you?
Yeah, I'm very good, thank you. How are you guys?
Wonderful, wonderful. It's exciting to have you here. And Jonathan, just for so of you know, he's coming to us from Peru. So perhaps I'm not sure where you want to start in the joy of your journey, Jonathan. We certainly have a lot of questions for you as well. But if is there anything that you'd like to tell us about your journey and how you started, maybe a little bit, and maybe what brought you to Peru, perhaps, and where we are today.
And I've
Yeah.
prepared a number of questions for you.
Yeah, so Dave's got questions too, and as well as our live audience. So thank you all for being here and participating.
Thank you very much. So yeah, so I guess my story began back in around 2007, 2008. I became interested in conspiracy theories. And this led me to an interest in UFOs, into ufology, and I came across Dr. Stephen Greer's work, where he teaches what he calls C5 protocol, or coherent thought sequencing, to do a series of, it's kind of like a guided meditation where you visualize where you are in the world and visualize the ETs and connect with the ETs and guide them into your place. And I was very open-minded at the time, so I thought I'd give it a go and try his C5 meditations a go to see what happened. And so I started doing the meditations, and it was the first time I'd ever meditated. It was the first time I'd ever come across meditation. And so I started doing these guided meditations to invite in the ET, to our star family, the ETs. And I started seeing visions, like straight away. I started seeing some visions. I had one vision, like I remember two extremely vivid visions, and I haven't really had such vivid visions in meditation since. And this is like 14 years on or so, 15 years on. And so this was 2008, I think, by the time I started this. And I thought one vision I saw was of like this castle on the top of this green hill, and there were like these monks in cyan green, like turquoise cyan, similar color, green robes, and they were holding pillows, and they were all carrying these pillows around this turret of this castle in procession, and it had like a little, and it was like there was nothing on the cushion. But there was kind of like a little sparkle of light coming from it as well. And it was kind of like they were worshipping nothing. If you follow some spiritual teachings, some spiritual teachers point to our true nature as nothingness, like the nothing and the everything. We are ultimately beyond form, so therefore we are nothing. And so I get the feeling they were sort of worshipping Source, God, the highest, as nothing. This is the feeling I had. It was very strange. And I had another vision of this planet, which was a very barren, rocky planet, with all these beings living in crystal towers. There was like this real hostile, barren, rocky planet, but there was this, I think, going in a long line right across the planet. There were all these huge, like crystalline structures pointing up really high, like perhaps 100 feet, 200 feet in the sky, with lots of little crystals around the bottom of them, and they were their dwellings. And I don't know if it was going along a ley line or something. And so I was seeing these visions, and this wasn't a success to me. I mean, now this would have been a great success. Like, but at the time, I didn't know what to make of it. Like, I was very new to this stuff. And I was seeing these visions, and I also became very peaceful and very happy while I was doing the meditations. So I really just carried on doing the meditations because they made me feel good. And after a while, I even kind of forgot that I was actually trying to contact the ETs, but I was still doing the process of visualizing. I'd visualize a grey ET because that was the only ETs I knew at the time, which, and then perhaps connected to why I ended up coming across Bashar later. I actually feel like I manifested Bashar through doing the visualization of the grey ETs, and I just presumed they were good guys. So I manifested a positive version of the Greys in Bashar and the Yahyel later on, and the hybrid kids through doing this visualization. There's a kind of side effect of it, I guess. But also after doing this meditation for about 5 or 6 weeks, at the point where I'd almost forgotten I was trying to contact the ETs, I remember I was lying on my bed doing the meditation. I do them lying down because I wouldn't experience the meditation, and so I mostly meditate lying down. Or initially I did it standing up, but then I just started lying down on my bed. And I remember seeing like the lampshade. It suddenly seemed to start rotating, and it looked like like a flying saucer with lights around it. And the next thing I know, I can hear this deafening roar of fighter jets flying over my house, my parents' house at the time, back in the UK. And so I knew from watching all my ufology videos that often like fighter jets and like helicopters and that were connected. So I ran up to my window to look outside, and I saw 3 bright flashes of light coming through the cloud cover, kind of from this direction where the fighter jet was coming from. But I don't know what that was. But over the next couple of weeks, I had 2 more sightings. There was one where, again, it was accompanied by the sound of a fighter jet. And so I looked out the window, and over my house, there was this golden ball of light. But it seems that seemed to be where the sound of the fighter jet was emanating from. So it was a bit bizarre, but it was just moving along the sky. And I said to it in my mind, I said, if you're, I can't remember if I said ETs or aliens, I probably called them aliens. I don't know, I probably called them extraterrestrials. I said, if you're extraterrestrials, move up and down. And then the very instant I said that in my head, this golden ball of light, it was just going like this. I can't remember if it went up or down. I think it went up first. It was going along like this, and it just suddenly went on a diamond. It shot up as soon as I said it, like 200 feet in the air, like vertically up, and then it moved along, and then I think it came back down. It went down, and then I can't remember exactly, but I think it went back up, and it disappeared. Then it came back on, and it disappeared again, then reappeared, and then flew off into the distance. And then I remember in the distance, it kind of looked like the navigation lights of an aeroplane. So I was thinking, is that just a plane? And this was really bizarre stuff happening. And I don't think it was just a plane. Like doing maneuvers that planes can't do after asking them to do it telepathically in my head. That's pretty advanced for a fighter jet. And I had another sighting a bit after that, similar. This one was a golden ball of light flying through the sky. It was being tracked by a fighter jet again. And that went off into the distance. Like they were both, the fighter jet was here, the golden ball of light was here. And then after they disappeared into this distance, this other light form like appeared, just floating. It was like, it was either a red ball of light with a green outline or a green ball of light with a red outline. I think it was red with a green outline. And it was just floating in the sky. And by now I had my camera on the ready. So I grabbed my camera, but as I put my camera on it, it disappeared. It didn't want to be filmed, this one, at this time. Although, as some of you may know, I did capture footage later on of the Yahyel on the Facebook live stream. But after that, a few minutes after that happened, this fighter jet flew in through the sky with full afterburners on. I don't know if any of you know what afterburners mean, but it's basically when fighter jets light up their exhaust fumes. They light them, and you get fire coming out the back of the plane to give it extra boost in emergency situations when they're like in combat situations. And so I've never before or seen seen a fighter jet with afterburners on flying through the sky. And so it was crazy. It was like this full afterburner fighter jet flew right over my parents' house. And then another one came a few minutes later with afterburners on again. It's obviously picked up the UFOs on radar and coming to check out what was happening. And they were flying around the sky that night. And my friend in the village actually said, "Did you hear those planes last night? They were crazy." And I said, "Yeah, they were here for my alien friends," sort of semi-joking. Well, I was kind of joking, but not joking, obviously. And yeah, so that's how it all started. And then I came across the teachings of Bashar a few months later. I say might be connected to the visualizations. I believe that, like I created Bashar. Like, hey, I created Bashar. Of course, we all created Bashar. We all shifted to this parallel reality where Bashar exists because it was relevant for us.
Yeah, yes, we did.
Well, I think also as we move into a version of reality that matches the frequencies better, we allow these things to come in. And there are times that I literally sort of feel like, or let's just say my higher self is working a control panel with different tracks of reality. And as you shift from one track to another, and sometimes you have these aha moments, and then it's sort of like shifting to a different track. And you could sometimes even sort of feel the idea of, oh, that reality didn't have Bashar in it before. Now all of a sudden, like, oh, you know, they're connecting to the Bashar frequency, the Sasani frequency. Let's dial in the Bashar stuff. And then all of a sudden, results on YouTube start coming up showing Bashar, Sasani, Yahyel, you know, all of these things. And it's interesting because I did prepare a handful of questions for you. And I thought I'd do something a little different than most other interviewing kind of things happen. So we know, and Bashar has shared this, the idea of the protocols of first contact. And I had the idea that not only do the protocols of first contact apply in a collective kind of way, but they also, after studying them and going through them, and we made a few videos talking about them, that they also apply on an individual basis, and they sort of start on an individual basis. But, you know, as you say, you know, you feel like you've created your reality with Bashar and the Yahyel and the UFO sightings that you've had. But I thought that we would go through some of the ideas of the protocols of first contact, and then you could talk about specifically of those protocols, your experiences with them. And I know from watching your videos and even from what you've just talked about now, that you've clearly had experiences that fall directly into the category.
We were sort of laughing how you check almost every single box on the protocol list.
So of course, the one of the early protocols, the earliest protocols is a higher version of yourself. Someone discovers the civilization and then decide that they want to make a connection to that civilization to eventually lead to contact. So some of the first steps are finding an individual that they could make contact with, and it's usually another version of themselves. And in fact, in some cases, they have to create another version of themselves in that civilization.
Which would be Tahinio, I'm assuming, for you.
Well, Tahinio for you would have found another version of Tahinio, which is you here, which is of course by no coincidence. And then the protocols first start. So it usually starts by ET or UFO kinds of sightings and what your reactions are to them. And you've just explained and told the story about some of your first sightings. Part of that is also what are observing your reactions and seeing how open you are to more contact and more higher frequencies. And that also leads to the idea of having more memories come back of childhood memories that might also have been associated with contact in some sort. Maybe by having this UFO encounter, you, after a while, you start realizing, wow, I saw UFOs when I was a kid too. And I didn't think of anything of it at the time, but you start having more and more of these memories and recall things. And as we know, as you create yourself moment by moment, you're also creating a past that's congruent to the you that you are now. So what you're really doing is connecting to a storyline where you've had contact all your life, because that's who you are now. Someone who has contact, someone who channels and is moving toward open contact. So you've told us the story about the UFO sightings. One of the next protocols is initiating contact with the individual. And I'm sort of paraphrasing these. Tell us a little bit more about, you obviously had contact. Tell us a little bit more about the first time that you've had of a communication style kind of contact. I'm assuming that your communications came before any kind of physical or
I'm not
visual.
sure.
It's hard to remember, right?
Well, the visuals definitely came first because I don't know, because I saw those visions in meditation. So I guess those visions were the beginning of a communication before I saw the
Okay.
ship.
Mhm.
But I remember it was 2009, September, my birthday weekend. I went on a Follow Your Highest Excitement adventure to Amsterdam. I suddenly got inspired. Like all my friends were busy on my birthday. And like, I wanted to go fishing. I wanted to go sea fishing. And everyone's like, no, Jonathan, I'm busy. Sorry, I can't make it. I'm like, oh, great. Thank you very much. And now I know there was a reason for that.
Exactly.
So I suddenly got the inspiration to go to Amsterdam for the weekend. And like, it was really crazy. I actually turned round. Like the inspiration was that high in me that I actually turned around, drove back to my parents' house, got my passport and left, and drove to the port. I didn't have much money. I had about 200 British pounds to my name. I didn't even know if I was going to be able to afford it, but I was like, follow your highest excitement, trust. And I managed to get a fairly cheap ferry across the water from Hull ferry port, not too far away from me. It was like a 1-2 hour drive. I still had my fishing clothes on. I didn't even change out my fishing, but they weren't too scruffy. They were okay. And went to Amsterdam. And I remember actually, like the only thing because I don't remember seeing ships in my childhood, but I remember when I was stood on the ferry crossing to Amsterdam. I don't know if it was going there or coming back. It was probably coming back because my frequency was a lot higher by then. But I remember being stood on the ferry, and it might have been on the way out there, I don't know, and like watching like all this mist on the sea and like these ships going by in the distance in the mist. And it reminded me of like a dream I had when a child, where I would see ships flying over my neighbor's house in the sky. And I realized that the dream was that I was seeing these cargo ships that I was now seeing in the sea flying over in the sky over my neighbor's house. Wow. And in the dream. And this was the weekend that I had a huge awakening. And so as I got back from Amsterdam, after having a very spiritual, like my mind, I really had a huge awakening there. Like I was actually in a state of bliss for a lot of the weekend, and I could like hear angels singing to me, or something, maybe ETs. I don't know. I feel like angels. And when I got back to the UK, it was Monday morning after a weekend. Like they call it the booze cruise, but I wasn't there on the booze cruise. Like this weekend on ferry to Amsterdam, and I got back Monday morning, like after the overnight ferry back, and I was driving back to Lincoln, where I come from, and I was planning on going to work. I was working as a gardener at the time, and my plan was just to go straight to work. But when I got back to Lincoln, just outside Lincoln, I thought, no. Not work. I'm going to follow my excitement one last time, and I ended up going to the forest. And when I got to the forest, my frequency started getting higher and higher and higher, to the point where something happened. I had this huge awakening experience. I think I actually had a contact experience that I don't remember. Shah talks about this, how we've had contact that we don't remember. There are ways I remember, and I still don't really remember anything about it. But something happened, and like my frequency went crazy. And I'm fairly sure I did have contacts. The same experience that happened again almost 9 years later to the date, when I was expecting something to happen in 2018. And the same thing happened again. And this time I did remember, not at the time. So which way do I talk about this? But I'll talk about that in a minute. But so after the 2009 experience, like I kept going back to the forest because like it would evoke this same state of euphoria and like kind of oneness in me. And when I went back a few days later, I I hold the ET. The ET spoke to me telepathically very clearly. One thing they said was "Good morning," a voice kind of like that. And we had.
Let me interrupt for a quick moment. James Pierce says he had a dream of ships flying around my house when he was around 5 or 6 too. He always felt it was more than a normal dream. And I wanted to mention that one of the reasons why I thought it was a good idea to talk about the protocols of first contact is because if you're watching this, you're in this octave of vibration. These type of things might be happening to you too. And sort of identifying these protocols of first contact and sharing our experiences and your experiences, Jonathan, about the different steps that you've experienced.
And let us just say, just for a second, that we didn't really clarify. The protocols of first contact were brought to us, at least that we found, were through Bashar, channeled through Daryl Anka. There is it's a public list that I believe we downloaded this from his site, bashar.org. He has a spot in his place where you can download a lot of different like forms and images, things like that. So that's where we got this from. So that's what we're talking about. I felt like somebody was like, what are they talking about? What protocols of contact? So it's sort of the idea that these are sort of like the universal protocols of contact that where as Bashar and many people feel that they're first contact specialists who enjoy this, meeting people from all of other species and so forth. There are protocols and Bashar and company are following those protocols. So anyway, that's where that came from. And the idea is, like Dave was explaining to someone earlier today, it's sort of like the universal idea that these are sort of the general rules for meeting new species out there. Not everybody follows them, but so anyway, that's sort of, I just want to clarify that just a little bit. And being that one of the things he says in the protocols is you will get these, you'll start to remember these in your dream states, and you'll start to think, or in a meditation, like you just said, and you realize this was no ordinary meditation. And I really think it was a visitation. And I really think I probably left, and because I'm missing time. And so yeah, this is one of the things that we wanted to kind of normalize for people, because people are like, I don't know what's happening to me. And so anyway, so I just wanted to put that out there too, that James is remembering too. And I remember actually seeing things around the moon when I was a little kid, and I stopped my dad in his tracks and I said, look at that. Can you see that? And he had no idea what I was talking about. I couldn't see a single thing. I'm like, can't you see those things moving around the moon? Yeah. And I was probably only 6. So anyway, yes. where do we leave off as far as, the contact of.
So all of you watching, first of all, on our Open Contact TV channel, we do have some videos about the protocols.
Yeah, we started actually reviewing them, and
we'll continue with them. But everyone here, can you feel the energy?
I'll tell you what, I've been feeling it since we decided to do this webinar, Jonathan. I'm telling you what, my ET contacts and my dream state have been out of this world. And my meditations have been so crazy, and my contacts have been so much more elevated. And even a new being came to me these last few days. So whether you're trying or not, even Jonathan, you're an ET contact like facilitator, because just being in that energy, and we were even watching one of your videos from a little while back where you were showing an actual ship in the sky, and I'm telling you, I can see it. You can see it. We can see it. So it was pretty amazing. So yeah, I mean, my whole vibration has like just been woo. Anyway, so
and I'll just mention that one of the next parts of the protocol is generating, and then us here on Earth receiving contact symbols. So I know that as you said, you've created the reality where Bashar has brought you information through that permission slip. And of course, he has brought us the sacred symbols.
With the sacred circuits and symbols.
Sacred circuits, which were certainly no synchronicity for you and meeting with you, the idea of Sirius giving them to the Yahyel, and the Yahyel giving them to the Sasani generations ago.
And then the Sasani bringing them to us.
And we were just wondering, Wendy and I, if you had received any symbols of your own that were sort of separate from the sacred circuits.
And not just exclusively written though, right?
No,
Or do you mean?
Well, so a symbol could be a symbol, doesn't necessarily mean written. Wendy gets downloads of symbols that she writes, pages and pages and pages of. A lot of people seem to connect with the idea of the automatic writing of symbology, symbols, stuff like that. But symbols could also just be artwork or songs or whatever. Did you ever receive any actual symbols that were, unique to your own?
Probably nothing particular as it comes to mind at the minute. Not really my thing. I mean, I remember talking about those monks that were carrying the pillow with nothing.
Right.
Yes.
That was kind of a symbol in itself.
That was very interesting. Yeah, that was very cool. I remember Bashar brought to us one day, and I wanted to show this. He said that this was a symbol. If you guys wanted to, if you want to connect with the Yahyel more fully, to use the symbol, which is actually a triangle with split corners. And he specifically said it was a yellow triangle with split corners. Now I have seen other symbols for the Yahyel, like on Pinterest and things like all over the internet. But I've never seen that one, that specific one that he had given to us to use as a permission slip to more fully connect with the Yahyel. But I did want to back to the idea of when you first started getting your own connections, and then you heard the good morning. Could you tell, so what did it feel like then? Did it feel like a being, or did it feel like the whole collective was like connecting with you? Or was it like
I think it felt more like the whole collective speaking to me.
That's how I felt when I watched your very first videos, as if you were just like completely just getting their collective, connection, if you will. It didn't seem like it was one particular individual that maybe it turned into that, but yeah, that's how I felt when you were first connecting. That was like everybody was talking at the same time.
And it, I remember it made me cry because
yep,
it was the most, like, not counting the experience a few days before, because that was so like bizarre and like out of this world that like I couldn't even properly integrate. Apart from like that experience, this was a bit easier to integrate and a bit more like normal. It was, when they spoke to me inside, I felt their joy. Like it was different to how I channel. It was like they were close by and they were directly speaking to me telepathically. It was kind of like on another level that I've not really experienced before or since. And it invoked in me such a level of joy and happiness that I didn't even know it was possible to experience that much joy. Like, I'd listened to Bashar's teachings for a while before this, talking about, this thing, experiencing high levels of joy, but you kind of doubt, you don't know whether to believe it, do you? Like,
right.
I didn't know what it would be.
You're right. It's inexplicable.
Yeah. And
the love swells up so
it
much.
Does.
That your only response is to cry.
And it happens to me. It's been happening to me for, well, at least 10 years. And it still happens to me every time they connect. It's just this overwhelming sense of love and bliss and amazingness that you can't even imagine that you could even feel that way. And to think that it could actually get better than that is almost inconceivable. Like, the higher we raise our vibrations, it's almost hard for us to believe that we can actually feel that way. Like right now, I'm not sure I could walk around feeling that way all the time. Because because it's such a high state that I don't, it's like, I don't know if I could function in real, in just everyday stuff,
Yeah, that reminds me of another part of the story that's quite interesting. When I had that experience, of course, Bashar says how three is like their number, like that they love the number 3. You probably heard Bashar say this. And so when I had this experience, it was this big awakening in the forest where I believe I had contact, but I don't remember, where I went into total euphoria and bliss and connectedness to everything. It was 3 days after my 33rd birthday. And which was, and my birthday was September the 18th, 2009. That was my 33rd birthday. And of course, September 18, 2009, it's kind of like 999, which is kind of like 333. And also, I later realized that September the 18th, 2009 was exactly 3 years, 3 months, and 3 days before December the 21st, 2012.
All of which is very significant. And isn't it funny that on a higher level, how you set that up for yourself? And I mean, that's really exciting, actually.
Yeah, it's crazy. And of course, those of you who don't know, December the 21st, 2012 is the famous Mayan calendar date, which some people thought was going to be the end of the world, but it wasn't. It's the end of the old world, the beginning of the new. Tipping of the scales, as Bashar says, where we shifted from an overall negatively oriented civilization to an overall positive civilization. And and just a few weeks ago, I found an even deeper synchronicity. So after I had this experience, every time I went back to the forest, I would go into like euphoria and bliss for many months afterwards. And then when I come back to reality and have to go to work, I get like depressed, and I was kind of like this frustrating reality. And so a few months later, December of 2009, I went to watch the Avatar movie, which came out fresh then in the cinema. And it was like I had the awakening all over again. I actually felt like the Avatar movie was about me. Crazy as this sounds, like having these, like here's this character, I can't remember what his name is, but the guy who becomes the Avatar, and it was like he was going through like there's so many things like there's a point, well, basically when he's in the Avatar body, he's like in heaven, isn't he? Like when he gets into the Avatar body, he's in like this amazing world that's all magical, and he's touching the plants and they're all, and he's like being in heaven, and he's touching all the plants, and he's feeling like enlightened. But then when he goes back into his normal life, back in the wheelchair, he's like depressed again. So it seemed like a very big reflection of this reality I was going through, where I was going into my higher self when I was in the forest and becoming like euphoric and blissful, and then having to go back to physical reality, where my job, like where he's in the wheelchair, and it seemed like the movie was all about me. It was really, that's what I felt at the time, which seems crazy, but when you understand that I'd shifted to this timeline where the Avatar movie existed as a reflection of this shift I'd gone through. And I later discovered that the Avatar movie actually came out exactly 3 months after my birthday. So another 3 again.
Another 3. Well, I have to share, just because I have to share that one of the things that happened to me early on in my awakening process was also in the forest. And every time I went back to this place, and I was just telling Dave about this yesterday, wasn't it yesterday, about the place I used to go, and I was making videos early on. And I still, in the energy of it, if I think about it now, I still cry, because every time I went back to the forest to make a video, it was so, the emotions were so, but what I wanted to say was, it was my dog Ranger at the time, funny, Daniel, because I have the picture I just hung up today. Again, and my dog Ranger has the same birthday as you. And the reason I bring it up was because it, that experience with me and him in the forest, it literally that was where it all happened for me. That's when I started connecting and channeling and connecting with the hybrid children and connecting with the Yahyel. And it was so intense. And so I wanted to, this is one of the magical things about having these webinars to talk to people, like, is so that we all start to see, these experiences we're all having. We may not always talk about them, but this is what channeling is. This is what the awakening is. It's sometimes when I'm on my knees sobbing because I don't even know what just happened to me. Like, what is this bliss? What is this thing I feel? What is this, what just happened to me, and who just said what? And my reaction and my response to it is sometimes pretty surprising even for me. And it's been, I don't know. I've just, so I appreciate you sharing this, because I think more and more people want to know, and this is one of the things I want to throw out to you guys too, is this is something that Jonathan does, is he helps you guys connect. He does these sessions and classes, and he'll, I've got the links in my description below, and he can talk about that, as we close today too. But I wanted to remind people of that too, that, many of us are, facilitating ET contact. And so I just wanted to throw that out there too, that, this is something that he does and helps people with. And as do I, but this is, this is what I wanted to really talk about today too. And actually Beverly says, has anybody here experienced high intense internal vibrations? And absolutely, yes, positively. I even said, I think it was
right now.
I know. I even said to Dave yesterday when I was thinking about, doing the webinar today, and I literally told him, I said, I am sitting here feeling like I really am so my vibration is so high. I literally don't even feel like I can feel my legs right now. And it's a very strange feeling. It's not scary. And that's what I want to tell people too. It's not people like, oh my God, what's happening to me? But yeah, that just you saying those things, it helps us all remember that this is part of what the ascension process is, and connecting with our higher vibrational aspects of ourselves. So yes, very exciting. So I digress.
And it's sort of funny because the next thing on my list is phase shifted contacts and observing of the reaction and the recalling of it. So part of the protocol is you get phase shifted into a new reality, probably where they could meet you or take you somewhere or whatever. Could be in a ship, could be just another reality, could be just phase shifted into a higher vibrational reality to see how you do, and observing your ability to recall that. And of course, again, some of the stories that you're telling us now include that as well.
Yeah, well, did you want to say something, Wendy?
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I need to get this list. I've not seen this list. I need to, is this in the public domain then? It's not copyrighted?
It's in his list, the ones you could just download from his channel.
Yeah,
And
well, there's a URL that you could access if you know it, that has all these documents in it, but we could send you that. I have a Word version of it.
Yeah.
That's a little format.
And you know what, I was going to bring the piece of paper. I have the piece of paper upstairs, and I apologize. I left it upstairs, and I was going to bring it down today to just in case we needed to refer to it. But yeah, it is part of the stuff that's done. It's free to download to anybody. And James made a couple of comments too, but I didn't want to interject your question to Jonathan.
Yeah, so talking about this phase shift thing.
Yes.
I'm learning something here, and it's starting to give more clarity to experience I had. So this experience I had in 2009, I had it again in 2018. So I was in the forest again. This time it was exactly 9 years later. That nine number.
Another 9.
It wasn't exactly 9 years later. It came a week early. I think this is they like to come when you're not expecting it, because if you're expecting it, you'll get your brain in the way and it'll mess everything up.
Exactly, no doubt about it.
So it was September the 11th,
Huh?
2018, and I was actually going to make a video about 9/11 conspiracies, because that's what I got into first, and I don't like to focus on that stuff because it's all negative and there's no point. But like that was the idea, because it was 9/11, and I did actually make some videos about 9/11, but they never went live because something incredible happened after that. I was in the same forest, and just give me a minute to get my energy together. See, I go through this phase shift just talking about it, and it's very powerful energy. Yeah, and basically, I'm in the forest. My frequency starts going super high. I feel like I feel like I'm downloading kung fu short story. And I'm actually messing around. And I feel like I'm turning into a superhuman in the forest. Like all this energy is over me, and I feel like I've got superpowers. And I'm not running on like calories anymore. I'm running on God power or something. Like going interdimensional and like literally doing kung fu, because like you know, we're all big kids ultimately, aren't we? And feeling like Superman or feeling like Bruce Lee or something. The next thing I know, I start to see multidimensionally. I start to see, I can see multidimensionally. I can see, depending on what decision I make, I think this is how the ETs see. They don't see linearly. They can see multiple parallel realities in front of them on multiple timelines at any moment. And they like see everything multidimensionally, more like Neo in the Matrix. They're like seeing the code of potential parallel realities. And so I start to see all the different timelines depending on what decision I make. And my frequency is going through the roof. And the next thing I know, I'm stood in a completely different part of the forest. I didn't realize this at the time, but now I'm fairly sure because I came out on a different path. The lighting's all different. I'm stood in a prone position like this, like completely prone, like this. Just like before I was down like this, like looking multidimensionally in a bush. The next thing I know, I'm like this. The lighting is totally different. The sun's in my face rather than it was behind me before. And like, what the? And like my frequency was even higher. It was like gone crazy high frequency. Like I'm in a state of frequency I can't possibly imagine, like at the present. Are we still connected? We're going out of frequency. I can't. Oh, you're still there. I think we went out of frequency for a bit. I think maybe some of the viewers aren't ready to believe in that reality yet. So, no offense, guys. Right, so you're back now, so you must be ready for it. And
that was funny. You blew away the circuits, Jonathan.
So the frequency is crazy high, and there's all these fighter jets flying around my head. Like I've got missing time. If you know about ufology, I've had like this. Like it was dead silence, peaceful in the forest, and like within no time, zero time, I'm in a different position in a different place in the forest. The lighting's different. And there's all these fighter jets flying around my head, like, and I think other planes as well. I can't see them because of cloud cover and the forest canopy. But I can sure as heck hear them because they were coming back on my position and zooming down on me, and it was kind of terrifying because I knew they were there because of me. And did we lose the live recording?
No, we're good. Nope,
Okay.
no, sorry about that. I didn't think you would even hear that.
Okay. Yeah, there's all these fighter jets flying around me, and basically I didn't remember. I didn't know what happened. I knew the fighter jets were there because of me. I knew something very, very, very profound had happened. And over a few moments, it come to dawn on me that I'd obviously had a contact experience and I couldn't remember it. And the planes were there because of me, and somehow I'd been blocked out. But I I was about an hour later, I stayed in I couldn't find my way out of the forest, which was crazy because I knew this forest like the back of my hand, and I was like trapped in this forest for like 2.5 hours. I was just following my instincts, which way to walk, and they wanted me to keep me in that forest. And I had a communication with the Yahyel about an hour later. It was very intense. And then about 2 weeks later, I started to remember the experience in meditation. I remember being on the ship. I remember being in Tahinio. I believe it was my counterpart's bedroom, his quarters, on the ship. There was a bed. There was, I don't know if they have beds. I don't know if they want to presume. I don't know if they sleep, but I don't know if they wanted to make it seem. I think there was a bed. I felt he was sat. We were sat both sat. It was like a hotel room with a white bed and like sat in front of a mirror and a dresser. But the only strange thing was he had a towel over his head. Very bizarre when you get into this stuff. And like it was something to do with my fear of seeing him and wanting to go deeper into it. And so when I went into like saying like, okay, I want to see you. This was in meditation 2 weeks after. I want to see more of you. I want to see what's behind the towel. And I tried to peel in. Instead of showing me his face, he showed me all the pain that my father had suffered at my hands during his life, during our life.
Wow.
It was like the kind of life review thing that happens after death. Like and so up until that point, like I kind of like was the spoiled child, you know, like kind of like, oh, my dad's been horrible to me. Like my dad was so nasty to me. My dad's passed now, and you know, we had a good relationship towards the end, and I've heard a lot of this. So, but like I was kind of like thought like you know, the arguments between me and my dad were all his fault. You know how you do it. It's never your fault, is it? But he showed me like all the pain that my father had suffered at my hands, and I was like, and I just started crying. I was like, oh my God, I've been such a terrible person. I never even knew I was so horrible. And like after that, he showed me how like my father. And he also showed me how, you know, I was kind of like, oh, I'm really spiritual, like the Yahyel like me more because I'm more spiritual than my dad. And and Tahinio like showed me, no. We love you and your dad equally. We love, and that was a revelation to me at the time. And they showed me how me and my dad and another family member and Tahinio were all very, very closely connected on a soul level and came here with a similar mission. Of course, this was way out my dad's remit. He didn't understand this. You know, he passed recently at 86, so he knows. And just let me compose myself.
Sure, go right ahead. Take a couple breaths. I totally get it. And you know, I have to say, I've experienced many of these things myself, so I can totally relate to the energy you're feeling, the things that you're feeling. My mother just recently transitioned just a few weeks ago. Well, it was been a month, actually, just yesterday. And the things that I've been getting and receiving, and it truly is amazing to me how when we're raising our vibration like this, we really literally are. It really, I want to say, cranks up our empathic heart based things, and so and reality, a heart based, you know, surfaces, things coming to the surface. Yeah, I actually will lose train of thought in the middle of a sentence because it's like I'm going from like literally one reality to the next.
Yeah, and so after that, I began to recall what happened on the ship. I believe like Tahinio was walking me along the ship. I think he was kind of on like the window side of the ship. I don't remember seeing him. I was all like looking left. I feel he was there, possibly holding my hand and walking me along the ship. And on the ship, I met several beings. I remember some vaguely, some more clearly. I think there was some kind of blue being there. like the first area I came to was like a coffee table area with like kitchen counters and cupboards around the side. It was very like a kitchen area with a low down, like, you know, with a counter and then cupboards, kitchen cupboards. Who knows what they had in those cupboards? Maybe just there to make me feel comfortable. I don't know. But like, and that was this coffee table area. I don't think they were drinking coffee, but you know, I'm explaining it the best way I can. And
Coffee for us.
there was some sort of being there. There was I think there was some very non-human being there. I think there was maybe a blue being there. And then sat on the edge of the kitchen counter, best I can describe it, around this coat was like a 2 foot, 2.5 foot tall ladybug being eaten. like the evolution of a ladybug, like 2.5 feet, 2.5 feet tall. We call them ladybirds in the UK, but you know, the red beetles or the black
Yeah.
dogs.
Oh yeah, we have them too. I love them.
Yeah. And he was sat on the back of his shell. He was sat upright on the back of his shell. You know, he wasn't down like a ladybug. He was sat up with the back of his shell on the counter, and with his little black legs, like black legs about this long, dangling over the side of the counter. And then we walked a bit further, and the being I remember clearly, there was the being that I like call a Mayan. Like there's this story that the Mayans ascended, you know, and it looked, he had quite big ears. I think some Mayans do, don't they? Kind of like pointy out ears, you know, very round, you know, not like I've got a very shaped head like this. His head was more like this, you know, like I guess a lot of, you know, like these Mayan type people are, like wider heads. And he had a helmet on. None of the other beings had helmets on, but I guess he needed to breathe different air. So perhaps he was from Earth. I don't know. Like, because he obviously needed some sort of oxygen or something. I don't know why yet. But he had like this glass helmet on, and it was like a glass bubble with like a flange around the middle, like where two hemispheres had been bolted together. And they almost even had rivets. So it was a very like kind of, you know, rudimentary. You think they'd have a more advanced, you know, you wouldn't think they'd need to use rivets. Like you would have thought they could just form it as well. I don't know. It's very strange.
Well, I
This
do
Mayan,
a lot of the Maya carvings.
That's true.
Have similar.
That's true with the helmets looking things,
yeah.
like like a space helmet kind of
They're
thing.
like spaceshipy, but yet very primitive.
I think that there's even ET civilizations even now that require some form of technology to even contact other species, and I think that that's actually still going on. And now that I think about it, I've actually had contacts in meditation where they showed me that they had some kind of a thing around their head in order to even connect with me. Now you would think, like you said, well, why would you need that? But we have to understand there's such an unlimited number of realities, and that they're at all different stages, just like we are, of their technological advances. And even though we think that they should be, you know, if they've got this, then they should have all of this. But in many civilizations, they do still require some form of technology to reach out to us. I guess just like we would with radio telescopes and, you know, and all of that. So
Adam Cook on the chat is wondering what year this happened to you when you're having these experiences on the ship. I guess
it was September the 11th. It was September the 11th, 2018.
Oh, so that's when it was 19. Okay.
And I told him about it after it, but I think I was on too high. He's one of my friends from back from the UK who doesn't believe in this, and I told him about it very after. And since he's like, "Why didn't you tell me?" And I did tell you about it.
Well, see, maybe he's in a little higher frequency now. I know this story from somewhere. So it's sort of funny because the next thing on the list is that they provide open contact timing and observe your reactions to it. So I know you have mentioned it even recently about the idea that, you know, Bashar is always talking about the timing of the actual open contact collectively. And it's always changing. And obviously, the full-blown open contact civilization we're not completely experiencing ourselves yet. But the reactions to them individually and collectively is a big determination about how soon it could happen. So obviously, have you ever gotten any kind of indication on the timing of these things?
Yeah, I felt this was going to happen in like I thought it was going to happen like either on my birthday, which was not 7 days later on the 18th, or on the equinox, which was the 23rd that year. And for those who would like a bit more information on this, or for my friend Adam, who's very skeptical because he believes I didn't even talk about it at the time. Actually, right after the experience, I drove right back to a garage in Lincoln, and within an hour of getting out, as soon as I got back to Lincoln, the city 11 miles away, I actually went live on Facebook live stream and talked about it, and I was highly emotional.
I saw that.
Yeah.
Yep.
And I was crying and saying stuff like "reptilians, I'm not scared of you," and I was really like, and so if you go if you go to my Facebook channel, Jonathan Trinity Martin, and go back to look at and search by videos and go to the video from September the 11th, 2018. There's a live stream there where I put something like, I think I've just had I've just had physical contact, and I'm extremely hysterical. And like,
I don't know that I would say that you were hysterical, but yeah, you were pretty.
I don't know. I felt
pretty excited. I mean, yeah.
And so after that, I started making live streams every day because I was in this really euphoric and high frequency. There's lots of live streams around that time because I was in another dimension. I was in a very high state of consciousness for weeks after that. But specifically on the day that I actually thought I was going to have the contact experience, which was the equinox day, which was September the 23rd, I think, 2018, where I thought something was going to happen. That was actually when I did the Facebook live stream, and the Yahyel showed up during the live stream and flashed us.
Yes, you're like, something's going on behind me, you guys. And I'm telling you, we saw it. We saw the ships. And Adam says, have you mentioned our sighting, Jonathan? And he says, I'm not that skeptical, brother man, if I saw a UFO with you.
Yeah, exactly. This is why I wondered why he makes me doubt it, because we had an amazing sighting together. Right over Lincoln City, over his house, up on the top of the hill in Lincoln. Is right in the middle of the city. And people ask me, well, will you see sightings in a city? Can you invite them in the city? Well, this is good evidence you can, because it was actually in the car park outside my friend Adam's flat. And all of a sudden, this red light appeared in the sky. And like, I was like, whoa, what's that? And I actually jumped up on my car bonnet in the car park. Because like, when you see these things, you don't care about your car anymore.
Right. What is that?
And like, so I jumped up on my car bonnet to have a better view, because it's over the top of the houses. It was right near the tops of the houses. And this red light just appeared, and it went down a bit and it went along like this along the tops of the houses. Must have covered about a mile or two, from a guess, from where it was. It must have been like somewhere near Rise Home Road, where Yarborough School is, for those of you in Lincoln watching this, Lincoln in the UK. And I was more over the, towards, who knows, the other side of town, the west side of town, I think, I don't know. Yeah, near the West Common, yeah. And so and this red light, it suddenly goes down and disappears behind the houses. And then the next thing I know, and both me and Adam described this slightly differently, but we both saw something bizarre. What I remember seeing was this green light just when it went doo, 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 and then it shot off down across town like an incredible speed, like this green light went zoom off across the city, and I went chasing it down the road. I went running after it, and it must have covered like I don't know, like 4 or 5 miles or something, maybe longer, maybe 10 miles in like you know in a few seconds, and it was down like over this. Behind this tower block, this high rise, I kind of think what they're called on. I don't want everyone on this planet, like a block of flats. That's what we call them in the UK. And so it's just behind this block of flats, right? And the block of flats are here, and it's short. It's about 5 miles away. It's behind here, and I'm running down the street after it. And there's this other guy who one of my friend Adam's neighbours, and I'm like, "There's a UFO! There's a UFO!" UFO. And he's like, yeah, I believe in them totally. And I'm like, no, look, they're here now. Here. He's just going, yeah, I believe in them, man. I'm like, no. And I pointed to it, and I'm like kind of here in the road, and the block of flats are about a couple of miles away, and like the green light's behind it, and this person is like about 10 meters in front of me in the road, and I'm shouting at him, look at the UFO, look at the UFO. And he's like, yeah, I believe in UFOs. And like what it did, right, it went down when I said that to the point where it was like, from my point of view, just 1 millimeter above the block of flats so that I could see it and he couldn't. You see what I'm saying? Because he's 10 meters in front of me and he has a different perspective. Yeah. So they actually like ducked down to the point where they're precisely on top of the flats. And so that I can see it, but this guy can't, because he's obviously not meant to see it for some reason. They're respecting his free will, it's a long story to go into that.
So Adam says that he recalls the red light split into 3. The red lights then amalgamated as a green one and then diverged again. Then the green light went like the 3 claws on a monster drink. Turned green and shot off. So he's now in at least a reality where he remembers something.
Yes. So we're remembering something similar but different, because And
my friend Beverly, she lives in the UK as well, and she says Lincoln has an extremely high energy flowing through it.
Thank you, Beverly. You have to come visit us.
Yeah, you guys should hook up.
So I'll mention the next stage, and we can move toward it because it's our favorite one of all: the filtering of non-compatible states. So I guess the idea behind that, of course, is releasing all your negative belief systems. But in order for contact to actually occur, states that are incompatible can't exist.
They can't exist in that vibrational reality.
So they are assisting as best as possible to help with removing all of those negative states. And of course, it's with free will. You have to want it because you get to choose your reality and you get to create it. But they're part of the protocols is actively assisting in filtering of non-compatible states of contact. So I'm sure that many of the things that you talk about has to do with that as well.
Well, I'll tell you what, Adam. Adam says, please, guys, can you give Jonathan a shout out from me and tell him I love him? And he sent you a heart. So maybe he's waiting for you to come back from Peru so you guys can hang out. Hey, maybe when you get back, you guys can hang out together and we'll hang out together and we'll do one of these.
Well, maybe we have to now.
That would be fun. Hey, Blue Star. Oh, thanks everybody for hanging out and yeah, asking questions and chatting with us. And what, so did I interrupt you? I'm so sorry. I do that
No,
a
no,
lot.
no. I'm just mentioning that the next, one of the next stages, and I'm not going to go all the way to the end.
Oh yeah, the filtering the
Um,
beliefs. So that is
but-
one thing that I have to say when we watch your videos is that you literally always seem to be doing everything you possibly can to raising your vibration, doing things that are congruent with that, and living your highest joy and excitement. And I really feel like, you know, you're one of the people that literally like does it, you know, like actually does it, does the thing, you know, acting on your highest excitement, doing those things, and then sharing with the rest of the world. This is what happens when you do that, you know.
And not just during the webinars.
Right. It's not exactly that, it's, you know, and so I find that very engaging. I find it very I'm grateful for the expressions. I'm grateful for all the things that you brought to us from Peru and from the UK. So yeah, as far as you filtering out your any kind of all that stuff, I guess being that it's part of the protocol, which I of course do as well every day. I'm always, you know, working through these negative. I don't want to say working through, because really it's not really like that. It's like as soon as you make the decision to do it, it's literally done. But in your experience, how much of that are you still, I don't know what, how I'm saying, like still having to do, maybe not still having to do, but, you know, how, are you still, we're also working through your own, negative belief systems, I guess.
Oh gosh, yeah, I woke up depressed this morning.
Oh,
I don't know
that
what
happens.
going on, but
It
I have a
happens
lot
to
of-
me.
Yeah.
It happens.
So yeah, very much so, and very intensely at the minute. It's kind of like I'm being forced into facing all my fears and like flushing out the last of my stuff at the minute. And it's not been fun, I tell you. It's fun. It's fun when you're on the highs. It's been very
Yep.
like this. Bashar says the roller coaster that keeps going up. Yeah, I've been forced to look at all my negative beliefs, and like my negative beliefs, as Bashar says, they're like when they're coming to the end, they shout the loudest.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
That's
and like
for
my
sure,
mind, my mind can literally has been going crazy. Like I've literally been going through this process where I'm either like in the last week, like I've had experiences of like pure deep peace. I've had experiences of very high frequency joy. I've had experiences of being nothing and everything, like where my consciousness has been no longer identified with my body, and I can feel how I'm nothing, and ultimately I'm source consciousness, and I'm nowhere, and I don't exist because I'm nothing, because I'm beyond the realm of form, and yet I'm in form as well. I've had experiences of intense oneness, and I've had times where my mind has been going completely crazy, like complaining about everything, and like almost feeling like suicidal.
That's me, not him. That's me. That's why I'm going, poor Dave, because I know exactly. This is what people, okay, this is the thing that not everybody wants or actually seems to talk about is yeah, we yes, we're raising our vibrations, and yes, it's all love and light, but it's not always, the experience isn't like, I know exactly what you're talking about, and I still go through it, and then I ask myself, well, you know, what am I doing? I know better, I understand, you know, I know, but this is part of the process. This is part of the process, and I too still go through a lot, just like you said. There's this times of just high euphoria, and then these times when I'm just like, you know, that old voice starts talking again, even being nervous about even doing a webinar. I mean, it's like I still get that anxiety and the nervousness, and yet it is one of the most fun things I can ever think about doing. Yet it's one of those things where it's all these doubts start to come in, and then you think, oh, what happens if something, see? And then what do? You manifest some weird technology problem because, you know what I mean? Because your belief systems can't believe that everything can just go perfectly and smoothly, and that nervousness of what if, and then I just take myself through the worst case scenario as well. The worst case is everything crashes and we have to start over, and it's delayed a few minutes. And it's like, if that's the worst thing that can happen, I think we can all live with that, because, you know, we've all been doing this Zoom thing now for a couple of years, and shit happens. It just happens, you know? So, but anyway, yes, I feel the depths of the anxiety with that. But again, it really is my highest joy. Expressing itself while having the filter of the negative belief. It's filtering itself through my own negative beliefs, you know? So I certainly can empathize with that. And I think a lot of people can.
Yeah, and I think because I've touched on this, and it's very intense. Some people maybe won't want to hear this, but like, this is a process everyone on Earth is going to have to go through at some point, eventually. So the physical mind is like not who we are. The physical mind is like to do with the physical brain and the physical body, and it's something, a tool that's part of this physical incarnation to operate in physical reality. But it's got nothing to do with like our real consciousness and who we truly are. And like, as we go through this shift, we start to disconnect from the physical mind, or at least the physical mind that's out of control, that just like and so I've been going through this process, and like I said, like, sometimes I feel near suicidal, and like I don't really, because I've never like seriously contemplated it, but this voice, like the negative beliefs, like as I'm disconnecting from it, and like one day in complete euphoria, enlightenment, oneness, and then the next day it comes back, sometimes the voice will start saying, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself. And like, I'm well past that stage of like depression anymore. So I just observe this voice, and I'm like, no, who are you? Like, it's ridiculous. It's like ridiculous to me now, but this is what my mind's saying. My mind's saying, I'm going to kill myself, I'm going to kill myself, I don't know. And I'm just kind of watching, saying, okay.
Oh, John, thank you. I feel so much better about myself. I mean, I'm not kidding. I'm sitting here thinking, I say this to Dave all the time. I'm like, if people could see the side of me, they probably wouldn't like me very much. It's like, because it is, I'm going same thing. It's like this same thing. It's like, you're not really going to do that, but there's that voice, you know, that voice. It's very strange.
And it's good because it shows us that we're not that voice. It shows us that we're completely insane and out of control, and it enables us to begin to disconnect from that consciousness, and not like, you know, teachers like Eckhart Tolle talk about this a lot, how, you know, we're not the mind. Like Eckhart Tolle in his book, The Power of Now, he says the biggest step you can take on your spiritual path, at least in the beginning, is the realization that you are not your mind. You are not the thoughts in your head.
Absolutely. There's a lot of there was a few things coming up in the chat. And Adam says he had a clear daylight sighting in Sheffield of a light ship with two orbs that would appear and disappear and reappear. Recorley said diverged telepathy. This was as a 25-year-old heroin addict to see it as a vibration in an anthropomorphism in my experience. Well, that was a mouthful. And Ostino, thank you too. We love you too. He says, I love you guys so much. Great to see you doing something live. Good love and good light to all of you. See, God, there goes my glasses again, you guys. I swear to God, they just start, I get my vibration raises so much they steam up. I find it interesting that raising your, Zulia says, find it interesting that raising your vibration and alien contact go hand in hand. And Adam said the big contacts are on their terms in my arrogant, egoic meat suit avatar in this simulation. And Beverly says, me too. Some people refer to this as the dark night of the soul. So anyway, that's, I just wanted to kind of catch you up, Jonathan, too, on some of the comments that have been going through, in case you wanted to comment on any of
And the
that.
next thing in the list also is something that you just sort of mentioned in one of your last videos about the children coming by, probably being hybrid children, precursors showing up. So the idea of the precursors is could be Yahyel, could be hybrid children, could be people in your reality in really high vibration, to see if you notice them, to see how you react to them, and to see if you could handle that vibration. And the next step is actually actual open contact happening, and different stages of things that happen once actual open contact happen, which we won't get into that. But as we see, you've certainly experienced all these things on the list, and you are also feeling as though open contact is imminent and could be any moment. You know, sort of, it seems as though you felt the presence of some form of precursors. And Bashar does say, if you experience them, there's no doubt in your mind.
Precursors meaning, explain a little bit what a precursor is, though,
Well,
for people
it's-
who may not know what that means.
So the idea is a close encounter of a being that would probably be walking down the street and looking human, human or mostly human, but at a very high vibration, to see what effects they have on you.
Just walking down the street, do you notice them? Do you not? Do you pay attention? Do you feel all of a sudden like you look at them like they have a specific vibration?
So because you create your own reality, there could be a precursor walking down the street. He's only appearing to you, only in your version of the reality. So the people around walking on the street may not notice the precursor at all, because it's really all an illusion, because everything is an illusion anyway. So the idea is, and it probably goes into the idea also of the phase shifting realities. So you're put into a situation where a high vibrational being is in pretty close proximity to you. What are your reactions to it? Do you notice it? Because if you're not noticing it, then you're not feeling those high vibrations. And we're not talking about super high vibration, because then it would be very obvious. But like you noticed the other day, oh, I see some kids walking by and something just doesn't seem exactly normal about it. And I could sort of, your first intuition is, oh, it's a hybrid child. And usually that first impression, if you're used to allowing those intuitive thoughts to just come through and accept them without questioning them, that's really what's happening.
So is the question, has
So-
he felt any or recognized any precursors, you mean?
Well, I guess the question then becomes, do you want to mention anything about that? Do you have other experiences like that? I know, like I said, in one of your, I think it was one of your last videos, you talked about that kind of thing.
I don't know if I've ever experienced that. I certainly don't feel I've experienced that recently, like in the last few years. Maybe in the past, I've seen it. I remember seeing like one person at distance. I felt was a bit strange, but nothing where I would say. Did you say like one of the signs is that you'll know without a doubt that they're a precursor?
Well, Bashar says that you would know without a doubt.
That you would just feel something?
Yeah,
Or
I mean, we've
sense something?
noticed certain situations that,
I can think of two in particular with myself, that even someone who said, and it was really weird how it came out, because I was just having dinner at a restaurant, and the server said something to me about something I was wearing or my necklace, and I don't even remember what it was. And I might have even been wearing the contact crystal. I don't remember. But then she said something to me like, "Oh, I'm a Pleiadian starseed." And I went, "What?" I was just like, I mean, and this was, I came out of left, nowhere. And it's like, oh, wow. You wouldn't think, and I was in Tennessee at the time. I thought you wouldn't think, it just, I never would have imagined that. So that was one I felt like was a clear, like, yeah, you're in the vibration because you're not being afraid to, show your own vibe. So it was like, she felt my vibration like immediately and was like, who says that?
But yeah, so how exactly you would know, I'm not sure, because the couple examples that I'm thinking about, I didn't really get that high vibrational feeling that I get sometimes with certain people or certain, certain situations. But it sure seemed like it was it was a test of some sort.
I was just thinking about now, or maybe I was being guided to that. Like we certainly see them on social media, and I think we recognize them for, and that, anyway, that's a thought for another day.
Well, let's keep our eyes out for more precursors.
So I don't know, maybe that's everybody's message. I guess that's what I'm hearing now, is this is sort of a message then that we're projecting out there for everybody to keep your eye out when you're, everyone has always got their hands down in their phone when they're walking around, and they're like, put your phone in your pocket, and look at people around you, make eye contact. If you guys are in Peru, make eye contact with Jonathan. It's like, and I find it interesting in a lot of your videos too. How do you feel out of place doing them there?
Doing
videos there in Peru? Do you feel like people are wondering, like, what the hell are you doing? Or is there a high vibe going on there? I mean, you're in Machu Picchu too, so I mean, it is a pretty holy or high vibe place.
Yeah, I mean, most of the people here in Peru believe in extraterrestrials and UFOs.
That's awesome.
I believe it is part of the Inca culture.
Well, don't you think that that's true too in the UK? Don't you think that, and you guys that live there too? I mean, I have a lot of friends that I've met through YouTube channel doing this stuff that live in the UK. I would think that the UK has a lot of high vibe stuff there.
It's very different here. Like perhaps like 1 in 100 people. I don't know. I know a lot of people don't believe and still are very skeptic about the UFO thing. But here in Peru, it's part of the culture, and they also have the ayahuasca, the plant medicine.
Yes.
Where it's part of the culture to do like here, ayahuasca is legal, changa is legal, which is a DMT releasing substance, and like there's so many taking, like journeying, hallucinogenic. They call them plant medicine here, is part of the culture, and so a lot of people here have done the medicine and interacted with beings from other dimensions. It's part of the culture here. Where I'm living here now, it's known as a UFO hotspot, and a lot of the locals here have seen the ships. Most people, a lot of people you speak to here will tell you they've seen lights on the mountains or flying. Like the owner of this hotel, he said he's seen a light hovering across the valley from that mountain to this mountain. So they're quite. It's the same as Mexico, because it's part of the culture and part of the belief system. Because as you know, our beliefs create our reality, and particularly our collective beliefs create our reality. So here in Peru and in Mexico, people believe generally that UFOs and ETs exist. So I think because of that, sightings are quite common here.
Yeah, I think so too, and I see what you mean about the difference in the vibration, because I can even feel it. yes, there's people that go to Stonehenge and and I understand that. And there's a lot of very interesting energies there in the UK, but I see the difference when, that is their culture. They believe that, much like the Native Americans here, I have to say, one in particular, the Navajo, who truly believe that the holy people are the star people, and that is their parents. They truly believe that it is the holy people, the star people, that is where they learned everything that they learned.
Yeah.
So-
No, go ahead. Let him talk.
Well, I just wanted to say, we did get a couple questions sent to us on the live chat before we went live, and they might have all even disappeared when we went live.
Which is really weird. We weren't sure why.
But I'll ask you the questions because before, I'm assuming that you wanted to get
Well,
into some
because
channeling.
I realize that we're
Sorry.
getting late on time, and what I wanted to do is let you decide, Jonathan. There's a few questions here, and I don't know if people were wanting to direct them toward the Yahyel or to you personally. So
and-
how would you like us to direct?
And-
How would
and
you?
these
What
are-
would you like to do to answer them?
These are sort of generic-y kind of questions too. And there's only
like 3, I think, or something.
They're sort of the same question, these couple. So what's the best way to initiate contact with my hybrid children is one of the questions. And another question is making contact with my hybrid kids and my Pleiadian guide, Shoshana. And another question, of course,
How to better contact?
how to tell me what my stellar origins of my spiritual guides and how to do vocal channeling with my guides or higher self. And I think all of these things are also things that I'm sure that you talk about in your classes. So you don't need to channel those answers.
But yeah, you can, you can, if you want to, if you'd like to offer their perspective or just yours simply, not simply, just yours specifically.
I was wondering if we should maybe do I don't know, episode 2. We could maybe do another one of these live streams.
Oh, I'd be happy to. If you're up for it, we could certainly do another one. I don't want to, I know that people were wanting to, to ask questions and stuff. I am more than happy to do another one. And I'm sure all you guys out there, are, if you're interested, I'm sure that they would love to do another one as well.
Yeah, because it's been quite energetically intense for me, and I'm feeling a little tired. And
Okay, I understand.
Well, you've been channeling the whole time. Anyway.
Well, this is the way we have to remember too, guys, is literally it's so somebody says yay. So Silver says yay. So is that a yay for doing another one?
Yeah, so I can perhaps quickly just give some answers to those questions now, but those questions, they're kind of a similar thread. And also, it's going to take quite a lot of time to explain them fully. So perhaps we can take those questions and do a second call, do a second live stream.
Oh, sure.
And use those questions as a kind of theme for the next live stream.
Oh, that would be great. I think that's exciting, and it gives people more time also to come up with some new questions now that they've already met you. They're part of, been, introduced to your energy. So I apologize, you guys, if we've taken so much time, but, with the not channeling part, but you know what, to be honest with you, this is really, it was more about meeting Jonathan, and talking to you and learning more about you too, and your experiences. And I know you've shared this in a lot of your videos. But doing it this way and live and interactive is really exciting, and people are really excited about this right now and the interactive live stuff. So yeah, I would be more than happy to do that, and we can do it as soon or as later as you like.
Yes, so just quickly to those questions. Like I say, we'll do another one of these live streams. We can perhaps do it on the same day and time, perhaps in 1 week or 2 weeks. We'll
Sure.
arrange that.
Perfect.
Because the people that ask the questions, they're likely to be available at the same time.
Exactly. These were people who couldn't be here today. So.
Okay. So, they can't be here. I don't feel so bad about not answering them now, knowing they're not live on the live stream. So, but generally, like, if I say, like, if you want to learn to channel, if you want to learn to make contact with your Pleiadian counterparts or your hybrid children, just set the intent. Like, before you go to bed every night, if you just do like a little meditation or a little prayer, if that's your thing, and just bring yourself back to center, quiet your mind, and just kind of put it out there. You can either say in your mind or just hold the intent. You don't actually have to say the words. They can pick up on like your intent, or even say it out loud and just say something like higher self or God or source or soul family. I'd like to make contact with you. Can you guide me towards making contact with you? Can you guide me towards being able to channel? Can you guide me towards learning how to make contact with you? And that'll actually create like a vibrational resonance that'll actually create synchronicities in your lives. You'll actually, like, one day, if you keep setting this intent every night or regularly, one day you'll just stumble across the right YouTube video or like a book or pop out of a shelf. People even talk about like books like dropping off shelves, like, and this kind of thing. Or you'll meet the right person in the street, you'll get chatting to someone in the coffee shop, like, by just setting the intent. You don't even need to put it out there, you just need to hold the intent in your heart of wanting to connect with your star family, wanting to connect with your ET counterparts, wanting to learn to channel, wanting to step on this path. I believe it was Jesus in the Bible that said something like, knock and the door shall be answered unto you. Like knocking is just saying, I want to find God, I want to find enlightenment, I want to contact the ETs, I want to connect with my soul family, I want to, by just you're knocking on the door of heaven, you're knocking on the door of synchronicity, and you're allowing the higher consciousness by asking in prayer, or like I say, just holding the intent in meditation. You're, by asking your higher self, you're setting in momentum, like things that will happen in the future, apparently completely by coincidence. You might get some amazing synchronicities where you're like, wow, I can't believe that happened, this really works. And so you'll be guided towards the information that will take you in that direction. And like I say, we can talk about this more in another live call, because
yeah, you're getting tired. That's fine. I completely get it. Let me change my view back. Yeah, and Heather said she's got a question too, about an experience that she had and something that she and I had covered in one of our private sessions together. So yeah, she said next time she'll so this is great. I'm actually excited that this gives us an invitation to open up this door more fully. And I'd be very excited to do another one of these, and really excited that you're willing to too. So, and actually we'll do another video or something, and maybe figure out a way to take questions ahead of time, and not in the live chat. So we'll come up with a better plan for you guys to take some to send me questions, and actually you can send them to us. We'll figure that out, but you can always send it to my website as well.
Yeah, I think what we'll do is we'll set up a registration.
And thank you to all of you who did register. And this is one of the reasons why, because that's why we wanted to do this, because now we can, we can let you guys know that the ones who have already done this one. And then, and so
we could ask questions.
And maybe we
from
can,
the website.
Right. And we can gather questions on my website, and then that way have them in a place that we can, more easily ask them. But, so yeah, that's very, very exciting. I appreciate all the time and energy that you've spent with us today and answering our questions. And it's really exciting for me to, go on this know thyself journey and meeting more of my own ET friends. And I know that all of you would benefit from spending some time with Jonathan. So please do. Oh yeah, Jonathan, why don't you, I know you got a couple things coming up. Do you want to talk about your classes really quick before we go? And I have all of his links in the description, you guys, in the video description here.
Just quickly, yeah, just check out my website, jonathantrinity.com, the links below. Also, I'm running a new class called Deepening Your Awakening. It's a series of 4 live Zoom calls and some other stuff, course material running through August. So check out the link.
And I've got the link to that, you guys, in the description as well, the link to that specific course. And you're running courses, sessions. Well, you actually are very busy.
Yeah. So so thank you, Wendy, and thank you, Dave. It's been really amazing. It felt like it was meant to be. Like the energy's been so powerful. Like as soon as we started the call and the frequency started getting higher and higher, I thought, well, this was obviously supposed to happen. Like, because like when it at the start, when it, I never know. You never quite know if things are supposed to happen or you're going a bit off course. And like before, when we couldn't log in, like we had like 13 minutes of technical difficulties. I was like, oh, maybe it's not meant to be. And then like it was. Maybe that happened so I could surrender, that maybe it's not meant to be.
Hey,
so
me too, because last Dave, I was all nervous because I wanted everything to go perfectly for you and I didn't want anything to glitch. And then, so that this is the thing, you guys, I realized that I did that, it's like, I know that my little bit of worries came through in that. So, but I feel so much better. And I wanted to thank you so much for just, taking the opportunity to accept this invitation. And it was one of those things, you guys, I just want to say it was one of those things that came out of the blue. It was very spontaneous. We've rarely crossed paths, I think really only once before at all in a live thing, but it was just something that I was all of a sudden, it was like, let's contact Jonathan. I just have always wanted to talk to you and excited to connect with the Yahyel. And so all of a sudden I was just inspired and I said, well, why not? Let's just see if he might like to do an event with us. And so I'm very excited that you agreed to do it and are even so gracious as to do some more. So, and again, we'll be posting this also on our sister channel, Open Contact TV. And we're hoping that we've got some software that maybe if we can do it next time, we will. But we're hoping to multi-broadcast too. So, maybe on Facebook and YouTube. And so that's kind of part of our goal as well. So if we can do that, we will. But yeah, we'll keep you guys updated. Thank you so much, Jonathan. Please do visit his website and check out his sessions and classes. And I'm sure that he can help you with connecting with your guides as well. And I'm always available here at Languages of Lights to share whatever it is that I can share with all of you as well. And I really appreciate your energy and your presence here in the live chat. It means everything to us because really it is exciting to do this live interaction. So, and thanks for sticking it out with us, Jonathan. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, thank you so much. Like I say, it felt like it was meant to be. It feels like we're exactly where we're supposed to be at this time, like we're synchronized together and we're on track. And it feels like this is the next step towards open extraterrestrial contact. So
absolutely. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. And thank you very much, live streamers. And we'll see you soon.
We'll see you soon.
Bye-bye.
Thanks, Jonathan. Okay, everybody, we're going to get ready to end the live stream. So,